Welcome everyone. This is the 2024 Q1 release. So if you've joined one of these before, you will probably know the process we'll go through. Give you a quick introduction. We'll then take you into some demos, which Sally's doing. And then at the end, we will have a Q&A session with Sam and myself. So any questions you think of as we go through, you can either pop them in the chat or you can wait until the end and ask them out loud. So in terms of things that we're going to cover today, we're going to show you the new pre-offer bucket, which sits between the interview and the offer stage. That's there to trigger actions. So it can be either part of your onboarding process, or if you're wanting to maybe put a decision from the interview, you could put them into that bucket. Drag and drop candidate feature, so making it easier for you to move candidates around the different stages of the process. Confetti, which I'll leave that as a bit of a surprise for you. Then what we've also done is change the way that our onboarding files can be downloaded, so they can now come down in zip folders, just for making it a bit easier for you to move them around. So rather than have to download them all individually. We've made an enhancement to our Job Booster functionality. So Job Booster originally was so you could promote jobs out to the different job boards as a paid tool. You can now bring in your contract. So if you've got a contract with an existing job board, you can bring that and process that through Job Booster as well. This is a paid feature because you're obviously bringing them similar to how you maybe used Vacancy Poster or Broadbean previously. And then finally, we've got our new cookie interface. So not chocolate chip cookies, but cookies in terms of how the platform works and how you can obviously track candidates through the process. So with that, I will hand you over to Sally.
Hi, everybody. Cool. Yeah. So as Chris says, I'm going to take you through a bit of a demo on the different elements. Feel free to kind of stick some questions in the chat. So let's have a little look. So we're going to start with our pre-offer bucket. So I'm going to find our jobs list. I'm going to have a little look at this job down here. So as you can see, we have got a new stage in the application process. So we're calling this our pre-offer stage or bucket, whatever you want to call it. And it allows you to trigger onboarding actions from that stage rather than at offer stage. So for example, if you are getting pre-employment checks done in the background before you're sending out a contract, that might be a really useful feature for you. So we've got a pre-offer stage here. We've obviously got a candidate in there at the moment. And as we say, onboarding actions can be triggered from this. So if I go to my onboarding package, just to show you, we've got an existing package and we've got some existing workflows. Now, I've got one that I made earlier, but just to show you how you would add it, it's exactly the same as adding in any workflow in an onboarding package to an existing stage. You just choose the pre-offer stage instead. So we've got all our different stages there, and we've got our pre-offer stage set. The functionality of onboarding has not changed at all. Everything is exactly the same. You can still have workflows as blocking, being sent out automatically to a candidate. They can still also be assigned to internal roles as well. So none of that functionality has changed. It's just the ability to have a separate stage. Now, this pre-offer stage is designed as a holding stage, really. So it's not linked to any emails in Manage. So you've obviously got your whole email Manage package that you can amend and do all those things with the different emails. So it doesn't link to anything there, but there's nothing stopping you at all triggering off some content through to your candidate. So the candidate's not going to know they're in pre-offer. They're just going to be receiving onboarding actions, for example. But yeah, there's nothing at all stopping you from creating an email template. So you could just, we've got just doing some checks in the background, for example, we've created, and you can trigger that out at whatever stage you want to, obviously pre-offer. To trigger out an email would just, you could go to your candidate. Let's have a little look. Where are we? So we've got our candidate in pre-offer. We can select our candidate. We've got our options menu, and we've got an email option there. And as I say, from that point onwards, you can select an email template if you want to. If you've got onboarding triggering, it's still going to be that same onboarding email that's sent out. It's just not going to make any reference to the pre-offer. So that's that one. Fairly straightforward, fairly simple. The next one we've got to talk to you about is our drag and drop feature. Now, once this is enabled on the platform, you will get this little icon that shows up here next to a candidate. And it's really simple. All you do is drag your candidate into the next stage. If you want to, you can select the sub-status if you're using that functionality. If you're not, don't worry, you can just leave that one there. And we can click continue. And there we go. We can see that they've been moved straight away into the shortlisting stage. Now, if you've got any process questionnaires set up in the background that maybe need completing before being moved on, you won't be able to move it. You'll get an error message that's shown up. Likewise, if you're moving into interview, for example, whoops, there we go. So if I try to move to interview, you're going to get, this obviously pops up. So you can book the interview option there. But if we wanted to move into offered, wrong option. There we go. Wanted to move into offered, we're going to get something like that, an error message. So it can't be completed at this time. Might be due to permission restrictions or pending onboarding processes. So if we've got any, as I say, process questionnaires that are outstanding, that's going to prevent you moving a candidate forwards. Any onboarding that has been blocking, stopping you moving forwards, but also user type permissions. So if a hiring manager is not able to move somebody into offered or interview, for example, they're not going to be able to do that. And they're going to get this error message that's showing there. But otherwise, that's it. Really simple, really straightforward. You can only do one candidate at a time, so you can't do kind of multiples altogether, but it's a really kind of nice, easy way of progressing your candidates through the process. So that's that one. The next one we're going to talk about is confetti. So this relates to moving your candidates right through to hired. And it involves adding in a little animation into your job. So if we're going to edit this job just for ease. And we can scroll right down. And under our candidate processing section, we've now got this animations that's going to be turned on. You can use this if you want to. It's going to be, I believe, a default turn on for everybody, but you can untick this box. You don't have to use this option. And essentially, yeah, it's an animation on hired. So if I go in and save that job down at the bottom, and we'll go back into our job, we've got a couple of candidates that are sitting at accepted. And if we move them into hired, so we'll use our drag and drop feature because we can, we're going to move them to hired. We're going to send through the email to confirm that they're going to be hired. And wait for it. Ta-da! Confetti for you. So just a little celebration to help you do the little recruitment happy dance, if you like, when you've hired your brilliant candidates. At the moment, it's just on the recruiter side of things rather than the candidate side of things, but that might kind of change later in the year. And also, we've been told by our developers that around about Christmas time, you might get some snowflakes in there, not just confetti. So just a little fun thing to celebrate the hiring of brilliant people. So there you go. So that's those. The next thing we're going to talk about is download, the zip file download. So a couple of releases ago, we released something called download policies as part of your onboarding packages. And you can download individual items from onboarding workflows as separate files. Now, feedback we've been given is that this will be useful to be in a zip file rather than just kind of an individual PDF. So I'm not going to go through the download policies, how to create them and everything like that, but we can certainly provide the documentation there. But if I find a candidate, one that I prepared earlier, I've got one here. We've got this option when we're kind of managing their onboarding processes. We've got this option down here to download relevant bits and pieces. So these are download policies that we've set up against this onboarding package. And if a sorry, I'll start that sentence again. Each download policy, if you click on this individual option, it will download individually. And we can see here, it's the zip file. Now, depending on the content of the workflow, so it might be a questionnaire that's completed by the candidate, or it might be a file upload. If it's a questionnaire like this one, it's just going to download that individual file as a PDF, but within a zip file. However, we've got one here that's a file upload. So the candidate has uploaded some screenshots or something like that into the platform. And if we click on this option, we're going to get another PDF file that we'll download. Sorry, another zip file. Can't get my words out. There we go. So we've downloaded. We can open that one, but we can see that any file upload that has been included as part of that workflow will be downloaded together in the one file. So you've got everything nice and neat together, all handy like that. So there you go. So that's your download files. Fairly straightforward. The next thing we want to talk about is Job Booster Plus. So we launched Job Booster quite a while ago now. Some of you use it, some of you don't, but it allows for you to sponsor a job with a job board on a one-off basis. And this might be a job board that you don't normally have a relationship with, and you can just sponsor it for a specific time for a specific amount of money. What we've now done with Job Booster is we have brought in the functionality where you can link a contract with an existing job board that you might have a relationship with. And if you've got any credits with that job board, you can use those credits against Job Booster. So it's not costing you any extra money for sponsoring the job through TriPad. It just kind of allows the link up of those contracts. So I've switched through to a slightly different version of our platform, but we've got Job Booster down here. So with Job Booster, you would normally go through and create a campaign using this plus symbol, but to link a contract, we need to do that first before we create that campaign. So we've got our contracts little section here. We've got any existing contracts that we have linked up, and we've got an option to add in a new contract over here. So we're going to type in the name of our job board. And if something comes up that's relevant to it, we can select the relevant one. So Monster, we'll go with the UK one, obviously. And we can see that the relevant job board is showing. And then you can include all different information. So is it a default or social media contract group? We'll stick with default for the time being. And you can pop in your credentials relating to that particular job board. So we'll just stick in some information. I'm just going to make it up. Oops. Helps if I can spell. There we go. And let's stick in a password there. You can also add in relevant elements to your contract. So purchase price might be 1,000, for example. Your currency would likely be in pound sterling. And you can add in how many credits you've got in there. So let's say we've got 50 credits, for example. You can also then choose how long your posting is going to be for. So let's say 40 days. And we can allow for that renegotiation when the contract expires if we want to. Oh, what have I missed? Something here. There we go. As I say, I'm just making this information up. Cool. There we go. So we'll get a little pop-up here. The contract has been created. And if we just come off that, and we're going to refresh our screen, we can see there, we've got our contract has now been added in. So if we go back a page, and we're going to create a campaign, we can link that contract in. So we're going to select which job we would like to sponsor. So we've got an existing job in the platform. We'll pick the relevant one. And we go and create a campaign. So it pulls through the details of your job owner. So you might want to kind of overtype any information there. And you can pop in a contact number. So a lot of this information when you're creating a campaign is what our third-party Vonk, it's what they ask for. So this isn't kind of a TriPad normal function, but yeah, this is kind of what our third party is requesting. So you just need to fill in a few extra bits and pieces. You can pop in your company name, pop in your address. So let's just put in TriPad. It's all a bit of a random mishmash, and you can choose if remote working is going to be going through that campaign. If you do allow remote working as a part of the specific job that you've selected, then it just brings through extra job boards that you might not already be using. You can pop in your required experience, your salary range, your working hours, and then you're going to choose from a set of drop-down options. So these are kind of a bit different to what you would normally find in TriPad. And this is again kind of prerequisite for Vonk, but you can choose kind of various different elements. And this is just controlling which job boards are going to be presented to you to then select. So we'll save that option. And we can see the screen refreshes. Now, what would normally happen if you didn't have contracts available is you would see recommended channels, and you can see how long the sponsorship is for and for how much you would be paying. So these are kind of options that you can select, and they're still available to select. You can choose whatever you want to do. However, because we've now linked through contracts, we've also got this option up here. So we added Monster before, and we can see that there's no price attached in there at all because we're going to be using one of our credits. So we're going to add that one to the basket. Oh, thought we were going to get an error message there. It's decided against it. So the screen will refresh. You can choose whatever you need to do. So apply method, for example, which location, and job status. You can got some optional fields you can also include, but we'll just go for the bare minimum for the time being. So that's been added to the basket. And if we scroll up to the top, we can see we've got our basket there with no price because we're using one of our credits. If you wanted to, as I say, you can still use additional job boards if you want to kind of pay extra money. Just a note though, if you do have a contract attached to Job Booster, and that contract is part of a bundle like this one, that credit doesn't apply to the bundle. The bundle is still kind of one set price for all these different job boards. So just be aware of that. So if we scroll back up to the top, I'm going to preview and check out, and we can see we've got our basket there. Now it's showing that there's no price. However, there is a slight admin fee still payable to TriPad to create that link with the job board and use those credits. But it's minimal. It's not something that you will unduly worry about, I hope. So once you're happy with all the details, you can go ahead and edit any of the campaign details if you need to. And you're just going to click create that campaign. There we go. So we can see that that's in progress. This is all kind of a work in progress demo platform, if you like. So nothing's going to go live at the moment. But if you were having a Job Booster on your platform, sorry, just notifications coming through. If you had Job Booster on your platform, obviously you would kind of see a bit more of a live view. So there you go. So that's how to add your contracts. So Job Booster Plus is what we're calling that one. Cool. Okay. Final one then, I just want to take you through is our cookies new interface. Now, this is something that I think some people have been crying out for quite some time. And it allows you to set up cookie policies, I suppose, in the background in Manage. So in Manage, you now will have an option, or if you want this, there's a manage cookies option down here. Obviously, there's a lot more things on here than you will see because I'm TriPad. You guys will see something slightly different. But yeah, manage cookies option will be there for you. And what you can do is you can add in a cookie category. So I'm just going to call this Sally Test for the time being. Just anybody who's done training with me knows that's what I tend to use a lot. And we've got a description here, so we can just put standard cookies or whatever it is that we're putting in there. You can then choose which cookies, how your cookies are going to be presented to the user. So are they required? So is it essential that we have these cookies presented to the candidates, to internal users, that kind of thing? Is it recommended? So is it just going to provide a better overall experience? Or is it optional and doesn't really affect the experience, but you're going to get some data from that person in the background? So we can save that category. There we go. We can see we've got a Sally Test saved down here. We weren't going to talk about chocolate chip cookies, but we're throwing them in there anyway. So once you've created your cookie category, you can go and add in a policy, or cookie code, should I say. And I'm just going to show you this one that we made earlier, just because it's got some more information in. So you can put in some more information. So what's going to be presented to the public. So when we're talking about public, we're talking about candidates, or we're talking about internal ATS users. So we're collecting that data from those internal users as well as our candidates as well. So yeah, we're going to pop in details there. We'll pop in any descriptions, and we're setting names and descriptions as well. If we know the name of the cookie, obviously we're going to pop it in there. We've got one that we prepared earlier for Sam, and we've called that one a test cookie. You can then choose which pages. Sorry, let me just take that one off. So you can choose which page those cookies are going to appear on. So do you want it on all pages? So it's just going to link through and pull through all that data. Or do you want it on very specific pages? So maybe just on your login registration page, for example, all that kind of stuff. So you pick and choose, do whatever. So we'll save it as all pages. You can also then paste in cookie JavaScript into this box. Now, this is something you'll probably need to get from your IT team. It's not something that's kind of widely available to the average Joe, but you can pop that in there as well. So we've already set this up, so I don't need to save it, so we can cancel that there. But essentially what this does is it then provides the user with the ability to accept or reject a cookie. So it's no longer just deal with it. This is what's happening. You do have the ability to amend and agree to all that kind of stuff. So just to show you what it looks like on the TribePad ATS version, you've now got this new ATS interface, should I say. So you can approve and reject straight off the back, or you can manage the settings and choose what you're going to agree to. And that's the same for candidates. That's the same for internal users. They can choose whatever they want. So we've got our standard cookie policy there, or we've got our chocolate chip option. So at the moment, this is toggled off, but we could toggle that on to say, yes, we're going to agree to that one too. And we can save those settings, and then that's it. And then those cookies are agreed to, and as long as the candidate is kind of going through the normal process, they've not cleared their cache or anything like that on their browser, that's going to be saved in the background, and those cookie policies have been applied. This is likely to be something that your IT teams will get involved with. It's not something that as a recruiter or an HR person you're likely to be involved with much, I wouldn't have thought, but who knows? Things could change. And essentially that's it. That's your cookie interface. So I'll stop sharing and I'll throw it open. Stop share. There we go.
Thanks very much, Sally. Okay, so we'll move on to the Q&A. So I think we've had a couple of people ask about when are these features being turned on, which ones are being turned on. So the turn on date is the 16th of April. We will be turning on the confetti, the drag and drop, and the zip downloads as part of functionality. If you want any of the other features, so the cookies, the pre-offer, or the job boost, if you go to the landing page, you can request these. As you've seen today, obviously the cookie one is quite complex. So each of these obviously needs a little bit more of a consideration in terms of when you're going to turn these on and the impact this will have. So on those, if you can request on there, then your account manager will get in touch with you and can talk through how you want those to be delivered. One of the questions that we had on the feature about the pre-offer bucket, This is available on a per user type basis. So just the same as your other buckets, you can pick if you want that user type to have that bucket or not. Another question we had was, is there any emails attached to it? No, there's not any emails attached to it. So there's nothing that you need to add in manage as part of that. Next question was regarding drag and drop. So yeah, this works on all stages of the process, including new applicants. So yeah, any of those, exactly the same as today. So if there's any actions that are driven off the stage that you're moving them into, so let's say into the interview bucket, as Sally showed, or if you have pre-screening questions that are not pre-screening, sorry, if you have an internal questionnaire that needs to be answered, all of those would be triggered in exactly the same way. And this is partly the reason why there is no ability to move multiple candidates at once, because obviously if you had a process questionnaire that needs to be filled in, or if you were making an offer, you would want to be making that offer to multiple candidates, and therefore you would have to put multiple candidates into multiple contracts. And again, that isn't something TriPad can do. So that's the reason you can only move one candidate at once. It would get really, really complex if you were trying to move two candidates into offer and pay them different salaries, etc. So that's partly the reason why that doesn't work in that way. One question we had, which might be a question for you, Sam, was, will the candidates see anything different on their dashboard when they're moved into pre-offer?
No, I think for all of the statuses except for interview, it just says in process. So they'll see exactly the same as they would do if they were in shortlist or in review.
Okay. We had a question around, is this functionality available to everyone, both customers on TriPad Grow and Pro? Yes, they are. Does pre-offer work if you don't have onboarding? Yes, it does. You can still use that bucket. Obviously, it wouldn't be triggering any onboarding actions, but yes, you could still use that as a pre-offer bucket in the same way if you wanted to. What other questions have we got on here?
Time to hire based on the pre-offer. So the pre-offer bucket should appear in manage in the same as every other bucket.
Yep.
I think we've got one around drag and drop. Is there any plans for agency candidates to be able to be moved into different stages, not including offer, before they're still fully submitted? So we can probably track. That's permission, so that is possible, depending on what product you're on, as to what options we can offer with agencies. There's nothing that would stop that. If you were a pro customer, it's definitely something that could be configured. If you're on Grow, then you'd need to speak to whoever manages your account, and they'd be able to confirm that. I think one of the things, and it does link to one of the other questions around new applicants, is the majority of our customers have got they've got a block on being able to move incomplete applications, which essentially an agency would be. It would be a passive candidate, not a fully completed application. So if that block's on, they would never be able to move them out of that new applicant. But it's definitely something to reach out to us about, and we can have a look at the way that you're set up yourself and make it, and sort of advise from there.
We've had a question about, can we switch any of these features on for the 16th on UAT? Yes, we can. Just speak to your account manager and we can arrange for them to be turned on UAT so you can start to build out your material before that date.
We just got one more. How is pre-offer bucket any different to add in any other bucket? It's not, it's the same. It's a bucket is a bucket. It's just somewhere between that interview. Maybe you need to get right to work checks completed, or maybe you need to do other things before you can make that offer to your candidate. So it's just somewhere, it's like a holding bucket, really. So you've gone through the interview, you want to move them further, but there are certain things maybe legally you need to do first. So you put them in there while you can get all of that information together, then move them on and make that formal offer and send out the contract or whatever you need.
I think that's it. I don't think we've got any other questions that have been asked that we haven't answered. Anyone's got any more, please feel to drop them into the chat.
Just to point out, so on the landing page, if you don't want any of the features that have been switched on the 16th, then the cutoff is the 9th of April to let us know. Otherwise, the features will be going on. As Sally mentioned, things like the confetti are going on for all users. Another thing we've not covered because we can't actually demo it yet is alternate words on the bias checker. So where you get in male identified words, we're going to be able to suggest not all words, but some words that are alternative to that. So that will be also going on the 16th. You don't have to use the words. The words are not there for every word that identifies as male. What we've done is taken all of the words since we launched our Ad Assistant Bias Checker product that have been highlighted and then suggested alternative for them. So it's going to be something that we work on quarter by quarter, adding more and more alternate words in there. But that's also going on, but it's not something we can show you because it got to be switched on the day.
A few more questions that have come in. Can the buckets be made visible to different user types? Yes, they can. Any update on the cloning from live to UAT platform? That is coming later in the year. I think that is Q3. I think that's right, Sam.
Yeah, that's been I've left that to my esteemed colleagues in development to do because that's a lot more technical than I can do. But it's definitely something that they're working on as we speak. I know that it's a big project. But I've got no update on the formal date for it, but definitely something we're working on.
Yeah. And then the last one, is there any plans to add in emails to the pre-offer bucket so we can trigger them from manage rather than ad hoc?
No. Not currently. Not currently, no. It is just there as I said, like a holding bucket so that you can do things before that offer. It's not meant to be a standard bucket. Just like in review and shortlist also don't have emails. They are buckets that are there as part of your recruitment process, not that anything that the candidate would need to know that they were in necessarily. So there's if a lot of customers need it, then and you have requested, definitely something we can look at, but there are no immediate plans for us to do that.
And what I would say is obviously if you add it to onboarding and it's obviously got a stage in there, then a candidate would get notified that they have an action to do at that stage because that would be tied to the onboarding. And yes, you can add on the pre-offer stage to the onboarding. We've also dropped in the chat a link to the landing page just to make it easier for you if you want to request or opt out of anything. Would you suggest using Job Booster as well as Vacancy Poster or instead of? I mean, you can use them together. It depends on what you want to use. So again, if you wanted to use Job Booster purely for your sponsored ads, then you could use it in conjunction with Vacancy Poster. If you obviously want to bring your existing contracts from, let's say, the job boards and bring them into Job Booster, then it's probably using it instead of Vacancy Poster. What I can say commercially is the Job Booster Plus with TriPad is going to work out cheaper than paying for lots of licenses with Vacancy Poster. But yeah, if you want to have a conversation with us about that and look at those commercials of bringing it with Job Booster Plus over Vacancy Poster, then we can do that for you. Okay, any more questions? Of course, if you think of anything between after the event, please feel free to reach out to your account manager. Be happy to answer any questions that you've got on the new functionality. Thank you, everybody.